Well, good evening, everybody. Hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend. Let me check my audio here. Everybody? All right, sounds good. Yeah, so typical Idaho Memorial Day weekend. Started raining Friday afternoon, and it just quit here about an hour ago. And it was 43 degrees yesterday, so we've had 5 straight days of dreary, rainy, cruddy, crappy weather. But that's typical Memorial Day weekend. That's why I don't usually plan on going anywhere. So hope everybody had a good Memorial Day weekend. And, well, I usually drag my feet here for a few minutes at the beginning, just letting everybody kind of get connected and let a few more people join. Got some interesting stuff to chat about tonight. Our friend Ian, who's on the stream tonight, Ian Fox, went out and picked up his new fifth wheel toy hauler Beastie. And man, it looks great. I'll have some pictures to share of that. Plus, my neighbor had a little bit of a incident with his truck camper. And I'll share some video of that. I'm going to just tease you about it here for a minute while I get my tea ready to go here. We'll go back and check on who's in the stream tonight. Looks like Robert Black's in, who's got some Starlink RV news tonight. He sounds like he got his on Friday. And I know Ian and I were chatting last week. He was querying me about ideas on connectivity for Nomad or, that kind of stuff. And really it comes down, you got two choices. You got satellite and or you got cellular. As Ian found, sometimes it's tough to get a cellular account if you don't have a physical address. And he's staying at Davis Moffett Air Force Base there in Tucson while he's going to school. So, but it sounded like he got something sorted out. If you're just joining, please drop a comment over in the chat window and let us know where you're watching from tonight. I always appreciate that. Every once in a while, we get a fellow from England that tunes in. And so it's always nice to have that international audience. That's the amazing thing about YouTube, right? Is how broad of an audience you can appeal to. Vincent RV Life's in tonight. Hi, it's good to see you. Tom Downey, of course, is here. Camp Gora 1. Hi, Linda. Sure nice to see you here tonight. Linda's been rescuing fish and turtles. Camp Gora 1, I should say. Go over and check out her channel. She's got a couple of new videos up of her and her friends rescuing some critters from a pond. It must be near her house. Gary Sharp's in from East Texas where it's 88 degrees. KX Racer, hi. Great to have you here. He's up in northeast Pennsylvania, up in the Pocono Mountains. And he put out a video, I think it must have been Saturday. He's just about ready to get started on his painting, doing the last of his prep on the painting stuff for his truck camper. So he's a little bit ahead of me, but I hope to catch up here real soon. Eric Myers is in. He's at Elephant Butte State Park in New Mexico. Smoky in the afternoons, but clear at night with a billion stars. Yeah, I've been to Elephant Butte. It's a beautiful place up there, isn't it? Have you been out to see the hoodoos yet? I think that's what they call them. Eric. Jeff Ripplinger coming in from Denver where it's 43 degrees and raining. Yeah, you got our weather from yesterday today. Because that's about what it was here. Scotty, Washington State, not Seattle. He's getting his fifth wheel ready for a trip to the Hood Canal. That's cool. Robert Black says, I have Nomad now, and for the last 11 months, every 1 to 2 months, and the carrier kills the service since it's not truly unlimited. They have to ship me a new router and SIM card to get the service back. I follow you. Tim Meyer said it was 87 in Dayton, Ohio today. Wow. What's a hoodoo? It's a rock formation that kind of looks like a stack of pancakes, I guess maybe a good way to describe it. But they're rock formations that form because of wind and erosion and all that kind of stuff. And there's some in that area there around Elephant Butte. Robert says he's on his 5th Nomad router now. It takes 2 weeks to get a new one each time. Wow, that's a drag. So yeah, let's see, like rhyolites, yeah, sort of like rhyolites. They're more like sandstone. Sandstone. They kind of almost look like mushrooms, like well, not like a. Oh, I'll think of it here in a minute. Morel type of mushroom. So anyway, let's see. Let's see. Okay, so let's go over here and we're going to check out Ian's new fifth wheel. But yeah, he's going to school, and it looks like a really nice ride. So congrats, Ian. Looks like you got a really fun ride there. Okay, let's see here. Lisa Ross. Hi, Lisa. So nice to see you here tonight. She says, one of my fuses to my recessed lighting keeps popping. It's hard to find out what's making it pop. Yes, I would suggest that you probably have a wire that has vibrated and has rubbed through the ground. So let me ask you, Lisa, is when you first turn the lights on, does it pop? Or does it pop after a couple of minutes of running? Answer me that, if you would, and we might be able to get you sorted out tonight, Lisa. Yeah, Tim, I agree with you. Wow, I say that again. Wow. KX Racer, huge fifth wheel. Yeah, no kidding. So Robert Black just got his Starlink. I know Richard, who bought my Newmar, had Starlink and was really happy with it. He was using it here while he was up here on the hill. And Robert says, hook the Starlink up Saturday, moving the dish around to get a good spot. He's getting 125 megs down and 25 up in the mornings and 95.15 in the evenings. It's great so far. Yeah, I've heard that it's really good. It can be a little congested during peak hours, but the cell service is going to be the same way. Your cellular service you're going to get into at times, periods of time when it's really congested, that it's slow. That's just the nature of the beast. That's remote connectivity. And let's see. Ian says, thanks. Been a long time in the works for the fiance and I. Oh, and Two Feathers checking in. She says, oh my God, that's beautiful. Yeah, it is amazing, isn't it? We'll take another quick look at it. Stops. Our friend Grand Adventure, who is on YouTube here, Mark, uh, did a review of those truck stop camping spots from Flying J and Pilot over on his channel a couple months ago. And they look nice, but it'd be interesting to see what Ian thought. Eric Myers spent 1,600 to get a solenoid for a Jake brake last year. Yesterday it quit. That only happens when it is needed. No kidding. 1,600 for the solenoid? My goodness. That solenoid better rub your neck and tell you it loves you for that kind of money. Judy Kimbrough's popping in. Thanks, Judy. Lisa Ross says, it pops as soon as we put it in the circuit panel. Can't even get them to turn on. It pops so fast. Okay, Lisa, so what you're going to have to do is you're probably going to have to drop each of the recessed lights and check and make sure that something's not shorted. What's concerning to me is that it pops even when it's not turned on. I'm guessing that's probably what you're saying is that even if it's not turned on, it's popping. So that tells me you probably have either a wire that's rubbed through, the hot wire, before it gets to the switch. And that can be really hard to find. But the easiest one to do, the easiest way to check is to pop all those recessed lights out and just take a look at all the wiring and make sure the wiring is in good shape, that there are no bare spots, nothing's rubbed through, everything is, nicely connected and everything. And then the next thing is that to check the wire that runs from the fuse block to that those lights. Do you have other lights that don't turn on? That would tell me maybe there's another set of lights on that fuse. But that's a tough one. That is probably a wire that has either come loose and is shorting out or has rubbed and is shorting to metal somewhere. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that sometimes is not a very easy fix. But Lisa says, the day I brought it home, they worked. Next day, they were out. I'm guessing, that it's used, Lisa, and you had no warranty. Let me circle back in here and catch up. She says, yes, the light I have above my kitchen sink is out, and the 2-bedroom wall lamp. Okay, so that's definitely a short in the supply wire somewhere between the fuse box and those lights. And it's not unusual for multiple lights to be on the same piece of wire. Vincent RV sent me an email today. He's been researching his wiring. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, she says to use no warranty. Yeah, that could, hopefully it's just something as simple as a wire is loose. And so the first thing I would say, let's work this down from the easiest to the most difficult places to look. The first thing I would do is all of the switches that control the lights that don't work, I want you to take them out and make sure the wires are securely connected to the switches. They should be on a terminal of some sort. Just make sure the terminal is there. It's not shorted to anything. It's not touching the ground or a piece of metal that is connected securely. The next thing would be to check all your lights, remove them, and check their connections. Make sure nothing is shorted, nothing's grounded. But it's probably in the line, the hot wire from the fuse block to the switch would be my guess. And a lot of times those are buried in the walls and up in the ceiling and stuff, which makes them really, really difficult to fix. I'm sorry. And Lisa, do you have or know somebody that would have an electrical test meter, sometimes called a volt ohm meter, VOM meter, or a DVM, digital voltage meter? Because you might need to test for shorts to ground and stuff like that, which is stuff I could probably explain to you. But yeah, you've got a shorted wire somewhere, and you're going to just have to track it down. And that can be really challenging to do, unfortunately. Oh, yes, your son. Okay. Then, yeah, so what you want to do is, starting with the first switch. Okay, Sorry, I'm trying to live stream this and come up with a really simple way to do this. So what I'd like you to do is, first off, since your son has a voltometer, starting at the switch, the electrical switch that controls the lights closest to the fuse block. So, for example, if the fuse block is in the bedroom, say in an overhead cabinet in the bedroom, it could be somewhere else, but I'm using this as an example, and there are lights in the bedroom that aren't working, start at that point, take this switch out of the wall. The black wire is oftentimes the hot wire. I don't know your rig, uh, but the hot wire is usually black. It might be another color. And then the negative is almost always white. But from that black wire, uh, without a fuse in, okay, this is important. We don't want any power on this line so you don't get yourself, well, 12 volts isn't going to kill you. But without a fuse in the line, test for continuity between the hot wire at that switch and the ground or the negative. And it's as simple as, usually on a meter, and I don't have one in here, they're both out in my garage, but it's as simple as going to the ohms reading or the continuity reading. I'm sure your son will know how to do this, and check at that switch. So check from the hot wire to the ground, and if you have continuity, in other words, if there is a connection, then you know the short is somewhere between that switch and the fuse panel. If that's okay, then move to the next closest switch with lights not working and do the same test. Again, with no power turned on, with no fuse in, test from the hot wire side to the ground side, negative. If it shows continuity, then you've probably got a short somewhere between switch 1 and switch 2, and then go on to the next switch. And by doing that, you're going to at least isolate where the short may be in which piece of the string. If you can isolate it, hopefully what you'll find is that a wire has come off one of the switches and is touching the negative. And that's an easy fix. Reconnect the wire. You should be good to go. If it's something more complicated than that, it's probably a wire hidden in a wall or up in the ceiling that may have rubbed through and gone to ground or shorted. And that may be something you might have to leave to an RV technician to repair, because it's not easy. It's really not easy. Okay? Sorry, I don't have much better news for you, but Tom Downey says hot wire, then look for smoke. Yeah, that's kind of the hard way to do it, Tom. It might work, but it might not have very good results. Let's see. Judy's checked in. Ian's asking Robert if he's in a city. Campground 1 says that's a home on wheels for sure. Yep. Ian, yeah, send some more pictures. I'd be happy to share those with our friends here tonight. And if they don't come in time for me to get them processed and up tonight, we'll share them next week. Okay, let's see. Campground 1, she says, what are we going to do about these continually rising gas prices? My RV is grounded. Well, let's hope they're going to come down. I know that, well, this is something I said on a live stream about a month ago, and I just read an article, and I wish I could remember where I saw it. It might have been at Compendium or one of those, where they were showing that availability in campgrounds is at an all-time low right now, and we're not even into the prime camping season. I mean, technically, summer is just starting right now. I mean, Memorial Day weekend's kind of the big kickoff to the summer camping season, and that'll run through Labor Day and, fall off a little bit. But yeah, I know that Yellowstone Park is completely sold out. I was just up there last week, and we went up to Old Faithful and watched Old Faithful blow off in the rain. So that was kind of fun. But okay, so our friend Vincent, RV Life, Bruce is his name, but they go by Vincent. Their channel is Vincent. He's going to install a max fan because he only has passive fans right now. And if you follow my channel, you know that I published a video approximately 4 or 5 weeks ago where I replaced the power vent on my Newmar, my old Newmar. And he had reached out to me about, getting it wired up. And I mentioned to him that he needed to figure out what circuits were what and how many lights were on them. And he's reported back that sounds like there's 3 fixtures on each line on 14 gauge wire. And I'm assuming, if I remember correctly, we did chat about this, and they're all LEDs. The nice thing about that is LED lights use very little energy. They pull very low amperage. And the Max Air fans pull about 5 amps maximum. They'll pull about 5 amps. And so if we do the math on all of that, 14 gauge wire, you should be okay. I know that the Max Airs, they have circuitry in them that recognize when the voltage is low or anything like that. And so, but yeah, I think it sounds like you might be okay. As far as gas prices, let's hope they come down. Linda, Campground 1. They're working on this inflation thing. I personally think that our gas prices are the result of corporate greed. I try to stay apolitical here because everybody has their own particular bend on it. But yeah, I think it's going to limit the distance that people are going. I know that I'm going to probably not go as far as I would have if gas was $3 a gallon when I get the truck camper ready, which will probably be about 4 to 5 weeks from now. I got a little bit of work done on it last week. I had a bunch of other stuff to take care of, though. So, okay, I'm circling back here. Lisa Ross says, my outside security light was touching badly, and we have put a new fuse. Yet, we'll try that. My son is too busy to help, so I'm trying what I can. It's better I know my own trailer. That's true, Lisa. Yep, that's really true. But grab your son by the ear and tell him he's got 10 minutes to come help you. Wink, wink. He's not that damn busy. Oh, and Campground 1 says she's been working on her truck to go to the Midwest. Oh, Robert Black is answering Ian, and Ian asked him about, because Ian's picked up Starlink, and so he's curious about that. And Robert says he's 45 miles northwest of Houston, so he's out rural. Ian's there at Davis Moffett Air Force Base in Tucson, which is right in the middle of Tucson, basically. And here's the rub with any shared service, okay? And what I mean by shared service is cable modems, DSL, cellular. They say you're going to get X number of megabits of download. And that is when everything is in perfect shape and the network's not loaded up. But when the network gets loaded up, when there's a lot of people on streaming and so on and so forth, they're all going to have a little bit of slowness, a little bit of network congestion. And some carriers and some places are going to throttle you, which is limit the amount of bandwidth you get. You may see a little bit of buffering. It's the nature of the beast. That's the nature of any kind of connectivity that is shared. And that's that is a good suggestion, Tom. Tom Downey was mentioning that if you unhook the wires from the circuit breaker, then turn the circuit breaker on, see if it still pops. Because it could be a bad circuit breaker, but I'm thinking you probably have fuses. Or is it a circuit breaker, Lisa? But I'm thinking it's probably fuses, the little ATC fuses is what's popping. But that's a good suggestion, Tom. Ian says he sent an email. Okay, I'll go look for that in a minute because I've got something to share with you, and maybe we'll do that right now. So my neighbor next door here is moving. They've sold their house and they're going to go do something else. And so he had unloaded his truck camper so he could use his pickup to move some of their stuff to storage. And he was putting it back on his truck. He was jacking it up to put it back on his truck, and a bolt broke and a jack collapsed. And this is the result. Hey, it's TR back with a how not to RV how to. Does that make sense? My neighbor had pulled his truck camper off his pickup because he was moving some stuff around and he needed his truck. And when he went to put it back on, one of the jacks, a bolt broke and the jack collapsed and it ended up on the ground. He had to call a big rotator tow truck to get this thing slung up and get it back on his pickup. And so here's a video on that. Again, I want to emphasize, I'm not sharing this to make fun of it because it's really serious and it's a really expensive mistake. So I really felt bad for the guy, but there was really no other way to get this truck camper picked up and back on his pickup. And so he ended up having to call the tow truck, the rotator tow truck. So I'm sure it was expensive. Plus, he's going to have to repair the jack because his jacks got all bent when it collapsed on one corner. Really unfortunate accident. I'm glad that there was very minimal damage inside, there was very minimal damage outside, a little bit of broken wood here and there, but nothing that couldn't be easily repaired. So we got really lucky with respect to how it fell, but the fact that it fell was a real big drag. So I feel sorry for him, but you know, it is, but life happens. And all right, thanks for watching, I sure do appreciate it. Till we get together for another video, peace. So yeah, big drag, real expensive accident. Those rotator tow
So
trucks
yeah, big drag.
don't come cheap. Let me mute that. Sorry, I had it turned up so I could hear it. I did get some images from Ian of his camper, and so I will share those. I can't because I've already, I think, here, so you can. Well, we'll just let those run. Sorry, we'll have it all together here in a minute. In a minute. This thing looks amazing, Ian. Gosh, this just looks like a beautiful rig. Okay. All right, so let's try. Let's go here. And let's do it this way. Okay. So let's see. Make sure I got everything working right. Yeah, okay, the mic's on good. So wow, it looks like a beautiful rig, Ian. I'm kind of jealous. Look at that. Got the fireplace, the nice big screen. That looks like the door back into uh, the toy hauler bay. Beautiful dinette set. Wow, great. Beautiful colors. I love the gray. That's going to be really pretty easy to keep clean. Nice, very nice. Look at that. Is that a queen size bed, Ian? Pretty nice. Really, really beautiful rig. There you go. Master bath. Because I could tell that's the master bath. It's up by the bedroom in the over. Wow, look at that. That's like a household kitchen. Wow. Beautiful. You're going to enjoy the heck out of that. Oh, yeah, we saw those. So, okay, we'll come back here to this. Now am I back to where I should be? Yep, go. Okay, excellent. Nice ride, Ian. Wow, really happy with that, man. That's just a really nice rig. So yeah, by the way, if you're wanting to ask a question related to RVing, you can throw it over in the chat window. If you don't want to chat and you just want to do it through email, that's perfectly fine. You can email me at trboland@gmail.com. I'm usually pretty good. I try to get back to people within 24 hours. Sometimes things slip through the cracks, and so a friendly reminder if you haven't heard back from me, um, just ping me again, remind me, and I'll usually try to get back to you. I'm not quite so busy as I was while Richard was still here, and I was trying to get him on the road, but I've got plenty to do for sure. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Ring the notification bell. Lots of great how-to videos. The little truck camper recovery there is a preview. You guys got a sneak preview. That'll release sometime in the next week or so. It's sitting ready to go. I'm just waiting for YouTube to finish encoding it, and then I'll get it posted out there. And of course, a visit to my website is always appreciated at trboland.com. Lots of great content over there. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by visiting my Amazon store. There's a link in the description below. And remember, as an Amazon affiliate, I get a small commission, but you pay the same price. and your help is greatly appreciated there. And as Camp Gora 1 just reminded us, that thumbs up is super important. If you give me those thumbs up, that's always really nice, and it helps YouTube rate the video up a little higher. So anyway, thanks for that, and we're going to go back to the comments here and catch up. Randy Waller's in. Hi, Randy. So nice to hear from you as well. I got a really nice comment on my blog post from Sunday. It sounds like Randy is making good progress, even though he's in a mud hole on his new house. So that's great. And Lisa Ross comments, I'll tell him, laugh out loud. Thanks for the advice. I'll let you know how it comes out. Perfect. We'd love to know that. Robert Black, we're talking about he's commenting about Lisa's electrical problem. He says, if no help from the sim, I think he meant son, pull all the builds out and see if the fuse does not blow the bulbs out. And if it does not, plug them in starting to the closest until it blows. That will get you closer. And that's a good troubleshooting sequence as well. Pull all the bulbs out, and then starting the furthest away from the breaker panel, from your circuit breaker, your fuse block, plug the lights in. That would eliminate a bad bulb or a bad socket. But my guess is something has shorted and causing it to blow, particularly where you don't have the lights on, and as soon as you plug it in, a new fuse, it pops. So that tells me that you got a short somewhere. And Robert Black also commented, he says, a good electrical shop will have a dead short tester that can trace the short. I have one and they work well. Replaces the fuse and pulses the power sound meter to find short down the line. Yeah, that's a good one. Requires somebody with a good piece of the test equipment, but yeah, that's a good way to track down a short too. That's a good suggestion. Thanks, Robert. Camp Gora 1 says she's headed to Starved Rock State Park for a meetup with RV Rebel Girl in July and may surprise Aaron in Amana, Iowa. Okay, he's not here tonight, so your secret's safe with us. And Lisa says, yes, it's the fuses, the circuit breakers next to it. Yeah, a lot of those have 110 circuit breakers and 12-volt fuses. And Lisa's thanking Tom and Robert for their help. Camp Gora 1 asks, I'm going to get a couple solar panels and a power bank. Which bank and panels do you suggest? Well, I'll answer this and then I'll go back to her other comment. The Blue Eddy has been highly recommended by a lot of folks. It seems to be a little expensive, my take on it. What's the one that everybody has? I'll think of it here in a minute. I have to admit, I don't have one of those power units, one of those portable power, lithium powered Jackery. That's the word. That's the other one I was thinking about. I think if you went the Blue Eddy or the Jackery, I think you would be in good shape. The Jackery seems to be really highly rated, and a lot of people really love them. And then I would pair the panels from the manufacturer to the unit. So if you get a Jackery portable power unit, get the Jackery panels. If you get a Blue Eddy, get the Blue Eddy panels. I think you're just better off. There's not going to be any voltage compatibility issues, anything like that. So I think that's your best bet. And she mentioned, I skipped over this comment. We'll circle back to it here. She says she just bought the Bouge RV 42 quart fridge, but it's kind of small. So she ordered a 53 quart instead. I think if I use the cigarette lighter plug while driving it, would it drain it? No, if you're using the cigarette lighter, you'll be fine while you're driving because you're going to be making enough power to run it. I did a review on the Set Power TC35 a couple, 3 weeks ago and said that I hadn't had a chance to test it very well. And so, actually, last week, one of the things I was fussing around with was testing that cooler. And in short, I ran it for 4 days straight. What I did was I took one of my lithium batteries that's I'm intending to put in my truck camper, and I hooked it up. And then I had this little uh, temperature measuring widget that I built out of a Raspberry Pi. It's a little teeny microcomputer. I don't have one out because I put it all away because I was done. But I tested it for 4 days, and I was shocked at how much power it used. It used 53 amps, 53 amp hours of power in 4 days. So the and I all I had in it was a dozen bottles of water. I was just trying to do some testing to see how it would cool. Every once in a while, if I was outside, I'd walk by, pop the lid open, let it close. Use it like you would use a regular cooler. The lid's open and closed all the time. And it was not very efficient as far as cooling goes. And even after 4 days, with the fridge set at 21 degrees, the water bottles never got below 35, 38 degrees. So I'm still crunching the numbers. I'm still working through all of the details. I'll have more information on it. But I think those 12-volt coolers are okay, but I think they're going to be power hogs, and you're going to want to watch your power usage. And the bigger your cooler gets, the more power it's going to use. Now, I'm not telling you that to discourage you. I'm just telling you that to give you a heads up. Most of those coolers have a low battery setting on them so that you can set it. So if you're powering it off your automobile or your RV, you don't have to worry about it draining your battery to the point where you can't get your rig started. And so you're going to want to research those settings and make sure you have it set pretty high with as far as where the settings would be for the automatic shutoff when your battery gets low if you're powering it off your RV. Randy Waller says those tow trucks are amazing. Yeah, those rotators are something else. Every once in a while I'll catch ice road truckers on TV, and they get their rotator out and pull big rigs off back onto the road all the time. And Campground One, she says, yeah, that was some work to get that back up there. It sure was. There was just really no other way. I don't know how you could get underneath that with it sitting basically on the ground. It did actually land on a couple cinder blocks he had sitting on the ground, his truck camper. And so that that helped a little bit. But yeah, that was a really tough situation to be in. Gary D said he did a video on Renogy solar panels, poor quality now, using plastic to hold together. Well, that's not what I want to hear, Gary, because I have 5 of those 100-watt solar panels from Renogy. I hope they hold out okay. I'll have to go check that out. Campground One says, that fifth wheel is so huge I'd be afraid to pull it. Here's the deal. Once you pull one of those for a little while, you just get so used to it. The thing about having a big rig is you just have to slow down a little bit. And when you're taking turns and doing that kind of stuff, you just go slow. It's not like driving a car. You have to remember that you're 50, 60 feet long. And yeah, turns and stuff like that. It's like I told Ian, go find a big empty parking lot somewhere. Go to the mall or something like that, and just practice backing up, moving around, taking tight corners and doing that kind of stuff. And after a while, you get this, you get the sense, you get the feel of how big it is, and they're not that difficult to drive. You know, they look intimidating, but sit down in the seat, drive down the road a couple hundred miles, and you'll be an old hand at it before long, for sure. Robert Black says we're going to need a bigger truck, big camper. Yes, Robert. The sound keeps cutting out when I showed the pics because I don't have the streaming software I use. I don't have it doing it live. I was afraid to do too many changes. By the way, how's the video quality tonight? Is everything nice and sharp and clear? Just curious. Two Feathers agrees with me. What a kitchen. Agree. Lisa CB circuit breaker. Ian Fox. Yes, it's a queen size. He's got a queen size bed. Oh, circuit breaker. Yeah, don't worry about it, Lisa. You're welcome, Ian. Yeah, we're so happy for you. What a great rig. And that's what Jeff just said there. Nice rig. Tom Downey. How many folks can change a tire? A 22 and a half, 10-inch. Eric Meyer says, I can't even lift a 22 and a half inch tire, so I don't have a spare. That's why I have roadside service. I agree with you. You know, now they have these high torque cordless tools, okay, Makita, the yellow one, DeWalt, the red one, Milwaukee. They have the big, you know, they've got now that torque, the electric ratchets, if you will, that have enough torque that you can pull those lug nuts off. But, you know, wrestling one of those tires around is a lot of work. And I agree. I have roadside assistance, and I'll just let them come and do it. Plus, 22 and a half inch tire, if you don't have an external tire carrier of some sort, eats up a ton of space in the basement. Tim Myers. I agree with you, Tim. He's responded to Tom. He says, I have the knowledge and experience, just not the desire any longer, if that makes sense. It absolutely does. And Eric Myers says, the knowledge to change a tire does not equate to the ability. And I think that the more gray hair you get, the more that probably applies. Tom Downey says, check out Russ's latest video, RV TV. Are you okay? Not following you there. He has a new power box that he likes to charge his electric bike. Oh, okay. Might have to go check that out. Yeah. Renee Brown asks. Sorry. Renee Bone. Hi, Renee. You're a new viewer, and we're happy to have you here. Since you're just doing part-time, I would just go with one of those Camco inline filters that goes right in line with your water hose. They work pretty good. They're good for usually one season. So if you're only part-time in it, they're good for one season. The next step up would be to get a cartridge type filter and install a cartridge type filter. I've had many of those, and the one I had on my Class A was not coming to me. But I would just get one of those Camco inline water filters. They're blue, about maybe 2 inches in diameter, about that long. Got a water hose connection on each end that you can put in line with your water hose. And those work really good. I got a sneeze coming here. It's pollen season right now. The pine trees are letting go. Okay, it's not going to happen. So, Renee, I hope that helped. Camp Girl 1, she says, I was going to cool it with 110 before she leaves. I bought the case for it to help keep it cool. The RV park will have hookups for electricity. You'll be good then, Linda. You should be just fine. Budget towing charges $3.50 per hour door to door. Yeah, and the elapsed time on that video was around 51 minutes. It took him about 50 minutes to get that thing rigged and back on his truck. If you guys will give me just 1 second, I'm going to just flip over here and blow my nose. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't figure I would share that with you tonight. Okay, back to the comments. Gary D, blue. Oh, it's a blue plastic, the corners. Okay. Now I have the fixed panels, so these are metal and they go on the roof. So maybe that's the one that, maybe those are the ones that are a little bit more rugged. Camp Gore 1, Harbor Freight has 2,000 peak output with 880 watts for $8.99. Jackery. Yeah, okay, Jackery. 2,000 is quite a bit, Linda. Do you really need 2,000 watts? I mean, are you going to be running like a microwave, a TV, that sort of stuff on your portable power? That's an awful big one. I mean, you know, it'd be really nice to have. And $900 seems like a reasonably good price. Like I say, I have not been in the market for one. I have thought about it. In fact, I thought about using one of those in my truck camper. I decided to go a more traditional route. But Camp Gore 1 asks, so I should probably get 200 watts of solar. Yeah, 200 is a good start. And then you can always add, okay? There's no reason you can't add more power within reason. You're going to want to check the unit you get to see how much solar power it could take. But Wonder Hussy, who is a YouTuber, has a fun channel that I like to watch. She doesn't know me, I don't know her. But Wonder Hussy, check it out on YouTube. She does a lot of backcountry exploring, old ghost towns, old mining camps, and stuff like that. She has a lot of fun. But she just did a review on the Jackery, and she had like 1,200 watts of solar connected to it. And then she also did a review on the Bouge RV fridge that she got. Of course, those were sponsored, right? Because, anyway. Oh, okay, thanks. Yes, the video sound is great. Just remember, national parks are limited 35 feet. Big campers take big campsites. True. Very true, Tom. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, good. Thanks, Gary. Tom Downey says they won't do 550 foot-pounds. Yes, they will. Milwaukee just released their earthquake that does 900. Check out the Torque Test channel on YouTube. Torque Test channel, and that guy tests all kinds of those, you know, earthquake extremes, the Makitas, all of them. And yeah, they're getting 700 to 900 foot-pounds of torque off of some of those newer ones. They really got it stuff going. Tom Downey says he has a cracked wheel. We've been chasing the leak for a week. Must have been an air leak you were chasing, and a 2-month wait to get it fixed. Wow. Yeah, we don't have yellow sage here, but what we have is pine trees, and they're all just raining pollen right now, and that's what's causing a lot of my discomfort with allergies. Okay, Campground 1 asks a great question here. She says, I wonder why the Jackery, she's using Jackery as a sort of a generic term for a portable power station. But the one Harbor Freight sells is 880 watts with 2,000 surge watts. And the Jackery company says theirs is 1,000 watts with 2,000 surge. The stuff you get from Harbor Freight is generally good quality. However, it's less, how do I put this? It's going to be cheaper equipment-wise than you would get from Jackery or Blue Eddy or one of those, because when those things are manufactured, they use less expensive components. That's how they save money on them. If you're using the same exact electronic components, the same transformers, the same capacitors, all of the stuff that goes into those, then there's no way Harbor Freight could sell for less than Jackery, Blue Eddy, or anybody else. So you're getting a better quality when you buy a Jackery than you would from Harbor Freight. The other thing is that when they list surge capacity, you want to see how long, how many seconds of surge it will give you. You might get a 2,000 watt surge for 10 seconds on unit A, and you might get a 2,000 watt surge for 30 seconds with unit B. All right. Well, the longer that surge current capacity is, the better the unit is. Okay. So overall, I like Harbor Freight, except that I never buy anything that cuts or drills. All right. The quality just isn't there. Spend a few more dollars, go get a good drill set. Blades, like saw blades and stuff like that. Again, spend a couple more dollars, go get good saw blades. But the other stuff the Harbor Freight has is generally pretty good. Their hand tools, the Pittsburghs, now have a lifetime warranty. And so I'm more inclined to maybe spend a few dollars on the Pittsburgh tools from Harbor Freight. But I have a couple of, well, I don't have many more because they got thrown away. But I had bought a couple of ratchets from Harbor Freight that the first time you put any torque on them at all, they'd strip out or they wouldn't work. So their sockets, their higher end sockets, the Pittsburgh ones, are pretty good, but they're cheaper sockets. They're not good quality metal, so they tend to strip out. Now, if you're a professional mechanic, then you're going to spend a lot of money on your tools. If you're a guy or a gal like Linda who needs a socket every once in a while, you're not going to be doing a lot of torque and a lot of wrenching. You can get by with a little less expensive equipment. In the case of the portable power station, and I think in any case, you're going to get what you pay for. And so I would probably tend to lean towards the Jackery than more so than I would the Harbor Freight. The other thing you might want to check is the warranty, because I think Harbor Freight might offer a 90-day, and then you could buy an extended warranty usually when you check out. And I think the Jackeries are going to come with a much longer warranty, and that's going to add some real value to it. I've had 3 of those jump packs. The jumper packs, that first came out many years ago, they had a little small battery in them that you would plug in, then you could throw in your car and use it as a jump pack. They weren't the capacitance types like the ones they have now, the big capacitors. And I burned through 3 of those just because they would quit working. And so I finally said to heck with it and went and got a good one finally gave up on the Harbor Freight tools. Tim asked, cracked wheel on my Newmar, on Tom's Newmar. Yes. Ooh, ouch. Okay, so Vincent RV Life. Speaking of tires, I just got the TPMS, Tire Pressure Management System. And reviewing the installation instructions, I now realize that I need valve extenders for the rear dual wheels. Any recommendations on the best way to do this? Yeah, go to your favorite truck stop or Amazon and buy a good set of valve stem extensions. Don't chintz on them. Don't cheap on them, because the cheap ones leak. I know. I bought cheap ones and ended up throwing them away and getting better ones because I was having trouble with them leaking. So that's I don't have a specific brand to recommend, but buy a good quality. Okay, you're only going to spend $15, $18, $20 on them anyway. And that's cheaper than having a tire go flat or go down on you because you got the valve stem extensions leaking. I hope that helps. I think you might have sent me a question on that via email, and I probably just hadn't got around to answering it yet. Okay. Campground 1 asks, so is it the watts I need to be concerned with or the surge? Okay, let's talk about that for just a minute because that's a great question, Linda. When they talk about 800 watts in the Harbor Freight one or 1,000 on the Renogy, that means that it will provide that much power continuously without issues. And then the surge is like, remember, we've talked about this on many times on the channel here, but we'll chat about it again real quick. When you start an electric motor, there's something called inrush current. And what the inrush current is that to get that motor started from a dead stop, to overcome the forces of gravity, it takes more power to get it moving, okay? And that's only for a couple of milliseconds, maybe even a microsecond, that it requires more power. So let's use like that Bouge RV fridge or my Set Power that I was working with. It's rated at half an amp, okay? But when the compressor starts, which is an electric motor, there's a thing in there that moves, it jumps up to 1.5 amps, and then it falls back. And so what the surge capacity is to handle that kind of a surge. When you first start a microwave, it's going to surge up more than, you might have a 1,000-watt microwave, but it might take 2,000 watts to get it started. But that, again, only lasts for a very short amount of time, and that's what you need the surge for. So when they say it surges to 2,000 watts, that means it will surge and provide 2,000 watts of power for so many seconds is usually how they list it. It might be from 10 to 30 seconds. Okay? Funny thing is, lithium batteries usually will have the same kind of specifications. Let's go with Battleborn, for example. The Battleborn batteries, the 100 amp hour 12 volts like I have, are rated at 100 amps. In other words, they will give you 100 amps of continuous power for 1 hour. A 100 amp hour battery has 100 amp hours of power. But it will provide you with up to 200 amp hours for 30 seconds. And so that's to help with that startup. Now, the way circuit breakers and fuses work is they work on heat. And it takes longer than a couple of milliseconds for it to heat up enough to trip a circuit breaker or to trip a fuse. And so that's why when motors start and they're either on a circuit breaker or on a fuse, they don't trip them out, is because it takes, a few seconds of pulling that extra current to heat that circuit breaker or fuse up enough to either melt the fuse or to trip the circuit breaker. And so that's why that it works that way. So I hope that helps you understand, Linda, uh, how what the difference is between the rated capacity, say 1,000, and the surge capacity, say 2,000. So the top three things you'd want to look at is how long does the surge capacity last? What is the warranty? All right, those would be the two main things that I would be looking at. And is um, I've seen a couple comments fly through here. Yeah, you get what you pay for. And I agree with you, Tim. That stinks. You got a cracked wheel. I'm assuming you ordered a new one. Were they aluminum, Tom, or are they steel? I would think you could get a steel 22-inch tire rim anywhere that would work. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but that would be a drag. Oh, he says it's a bad valve stem. Still have to unmount the tire. Gotcha, understand. And Tim asked the same question, aluminum. Gary D says the title was Renogy Quality. Okay, Gary, I'm going to look into that. I'll look into that. Thanks. Thanks for that. Campground 1, it's the Jackery brand name. Yes, Jackery is a brand name. Blue Eddy is another one. Harbor Freight has them. There's 3 or 4 others out there I've seen. I keep hoping that one of those manufacturers will reach out to me and say, hey, would you do us a test on this in exchange for a video? I'd be jumping on that in a minute. Gary D. One Job Tools. Yeah, One Job Tools. That's a good way to call it, Gary. I think Gary's responding to my comment about Harbor Freight tools and some of their hand tools. Their ratchets and stuff, you get one job out of them, you throw them away. With the Pittsburgh tools now with the lifetime warranty, I'm hoping that's improved. But most of my sockets and stuff go way back to Craftsman. I've got a lot of Craftsman tools. I've got a lot of Blackhawk tools. In fact, I have a Blackhawk ratchet that just failed on me. I need to try to get replaced because it has a lifetime warranty. Tim Myers just said he checked and Harbor Freight is selling something with the Jackery name on it. Interesting. They must have an OEM type of a situation because I'm pretty sure Jackery's a registered trademark to the Jackery company that makes the Jackeries. I'll have to look into that. Thanks for the heads up, guys. I'll do a little research on that. Interesting. Campground 1, she says, yes, I have a little cordless drill that seems to give me an issue. Harbor Freight sells cheap Chinese tools. Let's just call them what they are. And some of their stuff is pretty good, like their sandpaper and some of those things I have had good success with. Their tarps seem to be pretty good, less expensive than some of the other tarps. But yeah, you got to be careful with their stuff. Tom Danny says, all my electric tools are Milwaukee, never a failure. Yeah, I have Makita. I chose Makita over Milwaukee, mainly because I already had the 18-volt system for a couple of things. So I have a Makita saw. I've got a Makita Sawzall. I've got 2 Makita drills. I did have the transmission in one of my Makita drills fail, but I took it up for warranty and it was fixed in no time. They got it fixed and everything was good. Eric Myers, that's a good point, Eric, and I like that comment. Spend what you can afford. Most times, if you get better quality, you buy it once. True, but like I say, if you're going to be wrenching a lot, then you want to probably spend some money and get a good socket set, get a good set of screwdrivers, that kind of stuff. If you're the casual weekender, you wrench occasionally, then you're going to be able to get by with a lot less expensive tool set. I'm sorry, Now I'm wrenching all the time, so sockets and stuff like that. Now I will say that I bought their impact sockets. I bought the Pittsburgh impact sockets again because they changed and have a lifetime warranty, and I've been using them, and they seem to be pretty good quality, nice hard steel. But yeah. Tom Downey says 900 pounds each equals strip threads. Yeah, that's break free. That's break loose torque. I don't think it would. Well, it would. I mean, if it's going to break loose at 900, it would torque down to 900. You shouldn't be torquing your wheels with the wrench anyway. You should have a torque wrench to torque those wheels, technically. So Camp Gore 1 says Sotheby's. I think that was probably voice recognition. Harbor Freight, Jackery is the same, look, color, name, etc. But buying from Jackery, the company is different. I don't know. I'm not familiar. They may have an OEM agreement, and what OEM agreements usually are is that Jackery is making them for Harbor Freight, and so we don't know for sure that they have the same exact quality components in the Jackery direct buys versus the ones in Harbor Freight. I'm going to research that, Linda. I'll do quite a bit of research on it. And we will, I'll have more information on that on the next live stream. Wow, we're already after 8, but we're having a good time. People are hanging on. So we'll go a few more minutes. But if you have questions, throw them over in the chat window, or you can email them to me at trbolin@gmail.com. Also, give me that like if you're so inclined to give me that thumbs up. I always appreciate those. Tom Downey says, all the tire store managers say don't do it. I guess maybe I missed it. He says the steel valve stem is cracked. Changing the stem equals unmounting the tire. Yes. But the tire stores managers say don't do it. Interesting. Camp Goer once, he says, I always have issues with bits going bad. Yeah, drill bits, screwdriver bits, that kind of stuff. Spend a little more money on those. They'll last you a lot longer because, yeah, they're soft, metal. They're one-job tools, like Gary said. I think that's a good way to call it. I'm going to steal that, Gary. I think that's a good one. Gary D says, I can't find a good quality half-inch hose clamp. Or should I be using a different clamp on PEX? Well, I didn't think... as far as good quality hose clamps, you should be able to go to like Advanced Auto Parts and get a good quality half-inch stainless steel. You can get good quality half-inch stainless steels on Amazon too, because I just bought a whole new set of hose clamps, stainless steel ones. Mostly because I had used a bunch when I was getting my RV ready to go, and I was running low on some. But I have bought hose clamps from Advanced Auto and been pretty happy with them. Another thing, Harbor Freight sells hose clamps, but I have stripped out more of those things, so I just quit buying them. Tom Downey says the least pieces that you have on your tires, the better you are. Les Schwab refused to install extenders. The valve extended vibrate and cracks the valve stem. Yeah. Another way to do that, Vincent, Bruce, is to go to your tire shop and have them install solid valve stems. Okay? And like Tom said, you have to break them down to put them on. But then you're good to go. You don't have to worry about them vibrating loose. And they have all different lengths of those solid valve stems. from an inch to 6 inches, and they can install those for you, and that's your best bet as far as to have no leaks, is to get the extended valve stems. Linda says, "Yep, got it. Can't use my hair dryer or curling iron." Yep. Linda, I'm gonna give me a week to research this. I hope you're not in a hurry, because she wants to. She says, "I guess I should buy from the company Jackery or Blue Eddy." Let me research it for you, okay? Because I didn't realize that Harbor Freight was selling Jackery. I'm really interested in that. I'm going to go do some research on that, see what I can figure out. Come back next week and I'll have an answer for you. Oh, okay. So Linda already said Harbor Freight told me they have a deal of some sort to sell their products. Okay. Yeah, that's called an OEM agreement, usually. Ian Fox said, "I finally started my Milwaukee power tool collection. Bought the drill plus impact kit. I'm always working on something still." Yeah, it's Fords and Chevys, Milwaukee, Makita, DeWalt. I already had a couple Makita tools. I already had the 18-volt system. I had gone online and figured out how to make the old batteries work on the new and the new batteries work on the old. Because those, batteries and charging cables burn my ass. Every time you turn around, you got to buy. I have 400 cables. Look at this mess. Okay, these are just all the cables I have to have for various pieces of equipment, and it just kills me. Give me one damn type of cable. USB-C, USB-A, US whatever, okay? But don't make me carry around 14 cables, 8 different kinds of batteries. GoPro. I was going to get away from GoPro, all right? I've kind of had it with them. They are overheating. And a friend of mine gave me a GoPro 10. And I'm like, oh, I didn't want to hurt his feelings. But I think I'm going to sell it. Because I was going to get away from GoPro and go with a different, smaller camera setup. I'm kind of sick and tired of dealing with them. Anyway, we'll get back to the comments. And Ian says he just put a P-trap into my sewer hose and left the gray tank open. Yeah, that's just fine. You can certainly do that. But here's the trick, Ian. About once a month, close that gray tank valve and let it fill up, and then drain it out. Okay, so occasionally do that. That'll help keep the crud from accumulating on the bottom of the tank. But that's the way I ran in the winters. I totally did that when I was static there in Tucson myself. Excuse me. Is that I would never leave the black tank valve open. Never. Unless you're dumping the tank. Never set static with your black tank open. You're asking for trouble. End of the story. On the gray tank, it's pretty controversial. But the way I would do mine is that I would leave it open, and then about once a month, every 2 or 3 weeks, maybe once a month, I would close it. I would treat the tank with the borax and my orange cleaner. I would use the tank like normal till it filled, and then I'd flush it. And I never had trouble with my tanks or the level indicators or anything like that. So that's the way I would recommend that you run that. And the P-trap in the sewer hose is a great idea because that'll stop any gases, any smells from coming up out of the sewer. Thank you, Linda, for the thumbs up. Robert Black says, yes, Pittsburgh half-inch impact sockets. He has 3 sets for 20 plus years, and they are good. I have Snap-on and Craftsman hand tools. Use all on the ranch quite often. Yeah, like I say, I bought good sockets many years ago, and now that Lowe's has Craftsman, I've got a couple screwdrivers that I'm going to take back and see what if I can get them replaced. Campground 1 asks, what brands of drill bits? Well, the Milwaukee bits I've had pretty good success with, and I've also had good success with the Makita. And those are reasonably priced. You can get a set of, common sizes, usually 24-bit drill bits, for around $30, and they seem to hold up pretty good. You can spend a whole lot more on drill bits, but for you and me, I've had the one set of Milwaukee drill bits now for several years, and they are solid. They are really good bits, and I actually got them from Home Depot rather than Amazon. Tom Downey says, when you have a sudden blowout, you will know it before you can read the tire system. That's true, but what the tire pressure management system tells you is if that tire is getting hot. And that's probably more important to me than the pressure, because if that tire's getting hot, you know something's up. I actually had a rock stuck between my two rear duals. This has been probably 3 or 4 years ago. Good sized rock stuck between my two rear duals. And I noticed the duals on one side were getting awful hot. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. And so I stopped and got out and was looking things over. The pressure looked fine. I popped the the pressure centers off, checked it with my, I have a really high quality tire pressure gauge. And the pressure was, within a pound of what the sensor was reading. And I got to looking, and there was a big rock between the two duals. And I had to get a pry bar out to get it popped out. And then I rolled back down the road, and the temperatures eventually came back down into normal. And I think it was just the friction of the tires rubbing on that rock that was causing it to heat up. That's the value of the tire pressure management system. If you have a blowout, there ain't nothing you're going to do about it except hold on for dear life if it's a steer. KX Racer comments, PEX should be crimped with copper bands or the other PEX style clamps with special tool. It depends on which PEX it is. We had a whole discussion about PEX. I don't know. Was it this winter when we talked about PEX A, B, and C and different applications and how to work with them? And yeah, they have the crimp tools and stuff, but you can, with a good quality 1/2-inch clamp, you can do clamps on PEX if you're not running really high pressure. Okay, Tom Downey says the solid stem's what cracked. Bummer. Tom Meyer says, having worked as a truck stop mechanic, I can tell you that most facilities don't properly torque the lug nuts on our big truck type wheels. I'm in the process of purchasing my own torque tool. Yeah, and the fact of the matter is anytime you have a tire removed off your RV, Class A or Class C, they're going to tell you, retorque the nuts in so many miles. And I carried a big 1/2-inch torque wrench too, capable of doing, I don't know. It was pretty good size. It was enough to torque my lugs. But again, at some point you can only carry so much stuff. And so what I would end up doing is that I would just go and if I had a tire that kept going low, I had it repaired at a Point S tire. They're a regional tire store here in East Idaho. And then I drove roughly 100 miles, and I happened to be going by another Point S. And I just stopped in and asked him, I says, hey, I had this tire replaced, 100 miles ago. Would you mind just coming out and retorquing it for me? And, they came right out. Les Schwab will do it for you if you're in an area with Les Schwab. It only takes a few minutes for them to come out with their torque wrench and retorque them. So, but yeah, they should be retorqued after they're taken off for sure. Welcome, Vincent. Camp Gore 1 says she'll wait to hear. Thanks. Robert Black says the rigid power tools from Home Depot have a lifetime warranty on the tool and battery, but only if purchased from Home Depot and registered. That's good to know. I have a rigid. Well, they're not cordless. They're corded. I have a rigid palm sander. I have a couple other rigid tools that I've always had good success with rigid. But thanks. That's good to know. Campground 1 says her hometown of Kenosha, Wisconsin, had Snap-on tools. They always seem good. Yeah, Snap-on is, they're the creme de la creme of mechanics tools. A little overpriced, I think, but again, have a lifetime warranty. I think Craftsman, you can't go wrong with Craftsman. I'm sorry. That's my take on it. That's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. Campground 1 says, I need a camera. How much? We'll chat offline. Linda, drop me an email. I think I might have yours, but go ahead and send me an email, and we'll chat offline. I don't know. I'll have to get on and see what it's worth. And yeah, we might be able to work something out. So email me, trbolin@gmail.com, and we'll take that up offline. Fabian Gomez. Hi, Fabian. So nice to have you here tonight. He asks, is it common to have plywood above the aluminum rafters on his 2006 KZ Montego Bay travel trailer? KZ says it's a walkable roof with 16-inch rafters. Trying to figure out if I can walk. I'm 265 pounds. That's a lot, Fabian. What I would recommend is that I would get an additional piece of 3/4 inch plywood, say a 2x4 piece, and I would lay that down and walk on it. When they say they have walkable roofs, they're 1/2 inch, 16 inches on center. You probably would be okay. I would feel more comfortable telling you to get yourself a hunk of plywood, big enough, probably 2 small pieces, maybe the size of this desk blotter here. Okay, so you can kind of see for scale. Those are big enough to stand on. Get yourself a couple of pieces of plywood, half or 3/4 inch, and get plywood, not OSB, not particle board, and lay those down when you're on your roof and walk on those. That will help distribute the weight across more surface area, and you should be okay. But yeah, you want to be careful. At 265 pounds, if you're using the ladder attached to the RV, if you have one of those, you should be careful, and also then on the roof. But yeah, with a small piece of plywood, a couple of them that you could, hopscotch, you'd be okay to get up there. I think you would probably be fine. But I don't know, I don't know how thick the plywood is on those Montego Bays. I'm guessing 1/2 inch, maybe 11/32. Who knows? They try to keep those things light, so they generally go with thinner, lighter materials. And the other option is just to get on and get a hold of KZ and ask them, okay, I'm a big guy. Can I get up there? I weigh this much money, and let them tell you yes or no that you can. Tom Downey says he torques his wheels to 550 with an 8-foot cheater bar. Got it. Ian Fox says on his trip back from South Carolina when he got his fifth wheel. He got behind a fifth wheel, and every bump, his front right RV tire smoked a little bit. He waved him down, and he pulled over. He had a shackle bolt missing. You know, if you'll see that on bridge approaches. Two Feathers, thank you so much for the super chat. That's very kind of you. Good night, KX Racer. Thanks for coming in, bud. We'll see you soon. You'll see it on bridge approaches a lot. So what a bridge approach is that 50 feet before you get to a bridge. And look how often you'll find black tire marks, little skid marks. And that's from truck tires, and the same thing. You know, they go over a bump, they catch some air, and they come back down, and it's like an aircraft landing. You know, it scalds the tire a little bit. And that kind of stuff helps. Good night, Tim. Thanks so much. Hope you have a great week. Robert Black says Snap-on are always good but expensive. Williams are also made by the same company, Snap-on tools and lifetime warranty. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Ian's. Thank you, Ian. Thank you so much very much. You're very kind to provide me with that super chat. You guys are awesome. I'm not familiar with Williams. That must be something that, because there's regional things that go on. But, yeah, I don't know. Craftsman's always been great. Blackhawk, I have lots of Blackhawk tools. My only complaint is that sockets. I wish I had high-vis sockets because, damn, I have a hard time seeing the socket. Normally you can get close, but you get into the metrics, which is the ones that I hate the worst, and everything's going metric. 9, 10, 11, it's hard to look at them and say, oh, yeah, that's the 9, that's the 10. And so, yeah, that's my complaint about sockets is that they need to be high-vis so you can see what the heck you're doing. And he says, oh, Williams are half the price of Snap-on. Okay. Okay, Linda. You're welcome, Fabian. Thank you for your great question. Tom Downey says he has a 1-inch torque wrench for sale for $150. RJ Rackley says, darn, I'm late again. Hi, RJ. So nice to see you here tonight. Here's a tip for you. Go over to my page. Next to the subscribe button, there's a little teeny bell. If you ring that bell, that'll turn notifications on. And about 30 minutes before the live stream starts, 6:30 Mountain Time, you'll get an email that says the live stream's starting in about 30 minutes. And the live stream's always at 7 p.m. Mountain. I know everybody gets busy, I'm just kind of teasing you a little bit, but that's one way to be reminded that there's a live stream. And we're running late tonight. I normally don't go to 8:30, but we're still holding 19 odd viewers. We've been holding right in there for quite a while. Plenty of questions coming in. And as long as that's the case, and I don't have to sit here and fill air, I'm happy to stay. But we will be wrapping up here shortly. So get your last minute questions in, and I'll probably wrap it up here pretty soon. Let's see. Robert Black. Use a socket holder rail with numbers like I do. Yeah, I have a couple of those socket rails, and I never get the damn sockets back in the right spot, and they don't have numbers on them. They're cheap. Harbor Freight. since let's bring it full circle, they were cheap Harbor Freight socket rails, and I really don't care for them. And I try to keep my sockets in order in my toolbox, but every time you close the box, the drawer, and even though I have, liners in the bottom of them to stop the sockets from sliding around, they do. Robert Black, thank you so much. You guys are so generous and kind to support me and to wish me a happy birthday. That will be 1 week from tonight. I'll be I'll be this old, gray hair old. I've had gray hair since I was 40, so that tells you something. Okay, RJ, I'm just giving you a hard time, just teasing you. He says he will do. Been working on my solar, got busy. Totally get that. All right, last call for questions. Throw your questions over in the chat window. In the meantime, if you'd like to support the channel, remember there's a link to my Amazon store in the description below. And remember, you don't have to buy RV related stuff. If you're going to get something from Amazon, slip over to my channel, pop into my Amazon store, and you can go buy whatever you need, toilet paper, whatever else. It's completely anonymous. I don't know who's buying what, but I get a very small commission, and you pay the same price. And it doesn't have to be stuff that's in my store. You just have to go to Amazon through a link on my page, and I'll get a small credit for it. And it really helps a lot. It really does. To be honest with you, the reality of YouTube, I'll just tell you right now, I make about 3/4 of a cent, 3/4 of a penny per view. And so to make a living on YouTube, you need to be getting somewhere around 200 to 300,000 views a month to make somewhere between 1,800 and 2,500 bucks a month on YouTube. That's the reality of it. To consistently get that many views, you got to have 200,000 subscribers. I have almost 38,000. I'm not here to get rich, but I do appreciate your support. Oh, and Vincent RV Life, again, so much love here tonight. Thank you so much. I appreciate the super chats. Thank you, Eric. You guys, Eric, Tom, Tim, Robert, all those guys that come in regularly, you're so critical to this being successful. We get guys and gals, folks that come in here, they've got a specific question or something going on with their rigs. I don't have all the questions. I'm the first to admit it. I know where to go look stuff up. I've got a lot of experience, and so usually we can get people, down the road towards troubleshooting stuff. But the long and short of it is that we got a lot of smart guys out here, and they can, they have as much experience as I do, and, we'll get there. We'll get you an answer, and if not, like I'm going to do with Linda, Campground 1, on the Jackery, I'm going to research that. I'm really curious about that. The funny thing was, I have to admit, I was at Harbor Freight on Sunday. I went in to get a hose splitter. They had a Memorial Day sale. Oh, and I picked up a couple of things, like I think I got some narrow crown staples and a couple other little minor things. And I was through the aisle, and I think I remember seeing a portable power station. So I'm going to research that. So thanks for the heads up. I think I just heard your email come in, Linda. We will chat offline regarding the camera. Scotty, thank you so much. It's so nice of you to say that. I enjoy having you here. You like looking at my mug. Okay. I do too. It's my alma mater, Idaho State. It's right over here. I live right close to the campus now. Really, really enjoy it. Vincent RV Life says, for my information, the SOK 206 amp hour batteries don't fit under the stairs. Ask me how I know. Because you're doing a return, that's why. Two feathers. Doing it wrong counts as experience, right? Yes, it does. And I've always said this, there's nothing like doing something 2 or 3 times to teach you how to do it right. And I have lots of experience doing that. That's pretty funny. Linda says, I have the little Jackery from Harbor Freight. Okay, cool. Ian Fox says, I have reduced his stress so much being new to RVing. Thank you. And share, by the way. Let your friends and family know, if they have questions about RVing. Ian, you asked me a question in the email that I answered at the end of last week's stream on the sewer lines. And then, of course, I responded to your email. But, yeah, that's great. I'm happy to help the newbies. We get the old guys together, and And we're going to get the answer to you. We're really going to get the answer to you. Oh, Vincent says he moved it to under base storage. Oh, and Vincent, thanks. Yeah, you know, you guys are great. All right. Enough of the love fest. I think it's time for us to go. Thanks, everybody, for the super chats. You don't know how much that means to me. Thanks for the birthday wishes early. I'll be back on my birthday next Tuesday. That shows you how great a life I live. I'll be here live with you guys. And we'll have a great birthday party. How's that sound? Okay. Last comments. Robert Black says, and it only takes a few more minutes to do it right the first time. Me grandfather taught me that many years ago. True. It's absolutely true. We could talk a lot about that one night. And Campground 1 says, and even changing the headlights on my truck was a pain in my woohoo. See her video. Okay, yeah, that reminds me, Campground 1 has a YouTube channel. And you know, she's had some fun out there. I enjoy her channel. Thank you, Randy, for the birthday wishes. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. Good night, Tom, Vincent, RV Life. Good night, everybody, so much. Thank you so much. Happy birthday, and thank you, Ian. Hope to be here. I hope you can make it too. Good night, Robert. Good night, Eric. And I agree with you. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. And if you hurry, it never turns out well. And we'll talk more about that next week. All right. Thanks, folks. Really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time. Until then, peace. Good night.